Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a defining hour in every life, when the voice within must speak louder than the noise of the world. It is in that hour when every distraction fades, when your heart beats with one pressing question: am I the master of myself, or the servant of my fears? Let me say to you now, with absolute certainty, wealth, true wealth, the kind that shapes worlds, the kind that transforms dreams into tangible reality, is never the result of mere chance, nor luck, nor gambling with fate. It is the product of a mind that has been disciplined, a heart that has been purified, and a soul that has been forged in the fires of self-mastery. It is, as I have taught for decades, the result of cause and effect, the definite chief aim pursued with unwavering faith. You do not become rich by chasing after money. You become rich by commanding yourself, by transforming your thoughts into powerful allies, by turning your very being into a magnet for wealth, aligned to the frequency that money understands. This is not fantasy. It is not philosophy. It is a science, the very science that I dedicated my life to uncover. Thomas Edison did not invent the light bulb through accident. He discovered it by failing over 10,000 times, each failure another stone in the fortress of his determination. Why? Because Edison, like every man who achieves greatness, first mastered the only man that truly matters: himself. You and I both know this truth. Self-mastery is not taught in schools. It is not gifted from parent to child, nor inherited in bloodlines. It is built. It is earned through the repetition of focused effort, sealed with the definite intention to control one's own mind. You are not poor because the world has denied you opportunity. You are poor, if you are, because your thoughts are impoverished, your habits lack order, your emotions sit on the throne when you should be the king. And hear me now, for this is a truth, as certain as the rising of the sun. Until you conquer yourself, you will remain a slave, not to other men, but to invisible chains wrapped around your potential. Chains forged by your own doubts, fears, and indecision. You see, money itself is neutral. It does not flee from the good man nor run to the wicked. It simply obeys the laws of the mind. Those who master themselves can bend those laws to their will. Those who refuse to learn remain as beggars at the gates of opportunity, watching as others build empires with the very tools they have neglected. I want you to stop and consider how many of your defeats were not because of others, but because you betrayed yourself. How many opportunities passed you by because you hesitated, because you lacked the inner order to seize them with both hands? The richest man is not the one with coins in his pocket, but the one who has order in his thoughts, vision in his mind, and purpose in his soul. There is no power greater than the individual who has mastered himself. The storms of the world may blow, economies may crumble, friends may betray, and foes may gather. But the man who stands in command of his own mind is invincible. He may fall, but he shall rise again. Why? Because his fortune does not lie in the fickle marketplace, but in the unshakable citadel of his inner world. I have spoken with millionaires, with titans of industry, and I tell you this: they did not rise because of favors, nor because of secret handshakes in smoky rooms. They rose because they aligned themselves, their thoughts, their words, their actions, with a definite major purpose, and they burned all bridges of retreat behind them. They decided to be rich, and the universe, in turn, obeyed that decision. But here is the greatest secret of all, a truth that evades the majority: your riches will never appear outside of you until they first exist within you. It is not enough to wish. It is not enough to hope. It is not enough to pray with trembling lips while your heart is filled with uncertainty. No, wealth begins as an idea, transformed into faith, forged into action, and sustained by discipline. The lazy dream of fortune, while the disciplined build it. The fearful wish for security, while the courageous create it. The weak man begs the world to be fair, but the wise man molds himself into something greater than fairness, into a being of order, purpose, and power. And that order begins with self-command. Look around you. Do you not see? Every fortune you admire, every kingdom built, every invention that shaped history, all of them were first constructed in the mind of a single human being before a single stone was laid or a single coin was earned. Nothing outside you will ever come to stay until it first takes root within. You are the master architect of your life, and yet, what use is the architect's blueprint if the workman is lazy or the foundation is weak? Your thoughts are the blueprint. Your discipline is the labor. Your habits are the stones, and the strength of your fortune depends entirely on the strength of the man laying those stones. Understand this, and understand it well. The greatest riches in life do not respond to talent alone, nor to intelligence alone, but to unwavering, unrelenting, unstoppable discipline. Motivation, it fades. Inspiration, it flickers. But discipline burns with the eternal flame of purpose. What is discipline but the supreme act of self-love? To say, I will not betray my future for the weakness of this fleeting moment. I will not sacrifice the kingdom for the comfort of the hour. The wealthy know this, whether they admit it or not. They train their thoughts like generals train soldiers. They command their emotions like captains command ships through storms. They prepare their mornings before the world even rises from its sleep. Let me tell you plainly, if you cannot master your mornings, you will never master millions. If you cannot command your thoughts, you will never command the riches of life. You see, it's not the world's economy that makes men rich. It's the inner economy of their thoughts, the wealth of their discipline, and the precision of their habits that multiply their fortunes, no matter the conditions of the world around them. There is no luck involved in lasting wealth. There is no mystery in fortune. There is only cause and effect, and you are the cause. You are the initiator. You are the builder. If you desire riches, understand this law. You cannot vibrate at the frequency of poverty and expect the riches of kings. You cannot whisper weakness into your own mind and expect the universe to hand you strength. You cannot plant weeds of doubt and expect a harvest of abundance. It was Charles F. Haddon in the Master Key System who gave the world a truth most ignore. Wealth is a byproduct of law, mental law. And the greatest of those laws is this: as within, so without. The mirror of your life does not lie. Your results reflect your discipline. Your bank account reflects your habits. Your health reflects your decisions. And if you don't like what you see, don't curse the mirror. Change the image you're putting into it. Your external world is nothing more than your internal commitments wearing clothes. And those clothes are designed by the tailor of discipline. You may wonder, how do I begin? Where do I start this transformation? You start by commanding the self. You begin by realizing that every rich man who has ever walked this earth started poor in thought before he became rich in reality. You cannot build an empire on sand. The foundation must be solid, reinforced with belief, poured with action, strengthened by persistence. You must begin with your mornings. Master your mornings, and you will master your life. Master your thoughts, and you will master your fortune. Master your actions, and you will shape your destiny. And what is destiny but the sum of disciplined decisions made daily? Thomas Edison, the bringer of light, did not invent the bulb by wishing. He did not stumble upon greatness through comfort. He failed 10,000 times, but he did not quit because he had clarity. And clarity is a weapon in the hands of the disciplined. This is not a suggestion. It is a requirement. Discipline is the price of greatness. It is not for the faint-hearted, but it is for you. Because if you have listened this far, I know something about you. You were not designed for mediocrity. You were not created to blend in with the average. You are potential wearing human form. But that potential must be commanded, trained, and led like a general leads an army. And I tell you this, the battlefield is not out there. It is within. It is not the world you must conquer first. It is your own mind. Every time you override a fear, you have taken one step closer to the wealth that belongs to you. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, vision over reaction, you win another battle in the great war of self. Let the masses chase shadows. Let them scroll their lives away. Complain about things they refuse to change. You build, you train, you rise. For riches are not gifted to the idle. They are earned by the prepared. And preparation, true preparation, begins with self-mastery. This mastery is not a single act, nor a single moment of strength. It is a way of being. It is the operating system on which success itself runs. The rituals you build when no one watches. Those are the bricks of the fortune others will one day see. Success is never about dramatic one. Time efforts. It is not fireworks. It is the quiet, steady, invisible labor that builds legacies. And hear this well. If you cannot command your mornings, you will never command millions. If you cannot control your impulses, you will never direct influence. Everything external is only a mirror. If you don't like what the world reflects to you, Change the face you are presenting to it. This is not punishment. This is power. Charles F. Hananel, in the Master Key System, taught that wealth is the result of law, mental law. Wealth is not a gamble, not a whim of fortune. It is the outcome of precise cause and effect. The supreme cause, the self you choose to become. You cannot vibrate on the frequency of greatness while living by the habits of weakness. You cannot call yourself a king and move like a pawn. You cannot expect a harvest from seeds you have not planted. The rich do not gamble. They engineer. They do not wait. They work. They do not wish. They will. And what is willpower? It is the supreme command over self. It is choosing what must be done over what you feel like doing. It is ignoring the chaos of the world and answering to only one authority, your vision. And just as the body must be trained through resistance, the will must be trained through repetition. It must be trained through refusal, through resistance to the old self, to the old stories, to the weakness of yesterday. Dr. Joseph Murphy taught that the subconscious mind is your servant. It follows your instructions. But I must warn you, most people are poor commanders. They speak poverty, fear, laziness, and then curse the world when their life reflects the very things they planted. The subconscious mind is soil. If you plant weeds, do not cry when you don't harvest roses. So command it with new words, new pictures, new affirmations, repeated with belief, spoken with force, and most importantly, acted upon with consistency. Wealth is not a chance. It is a decision. It is a frequency. It is a rhythm you create by commanding your inner world. Every man or woman who has ever built wealth has done so by first building themselves. They mastered their inner game before they conquered the outer one. They became rich in discipline before they became rich in dollars. They became rich in vision before they became rich in possessions. And hear me now. The world doesn't pay you for how much you wish. It pays you for how much you contribute. It rewards you in direct proportion to the value you bring, the problems you solve, the service you provide, the courage you show, and the leadership you embody. That's why you cannot afford to speak like the masses, think like the masses, move like the masses. Because the masses are broke. The masses complain. The masses point fingers. The masses scroll their lives away. But you are different. The greats did not get rich by accident. They crafted themselves into giants. They turned their weakness into power. They didn't just read about success. They lived it. In their actions, in their sacrifices, in their choices when nobody was watching. Because wealth doesn't show up to the lazy. Wealth does not respond to the casual. It answers only to the disciplined, to the focused, to the determined. And if you want wealth, if you truly want it, there is a price to be paid, and that price is your old self. That self who doubts, that self who hesitates, that self who talks about one day. That self must die for the wealthy version of you to be born. Success is not found in comfort. It's found in challenge. It's forged in discipline. It's carved out of early mornings, late nights, and relentless focus when everyone else is distracted. Look around you. Most people are chasing escape, but you must be chasing purpose. Most people are running from pain, but you must run into it, because pain is the forge where champions are made. Do you want to know why so few people are wealthy? It's not because it's impossible. It's because wealth requires the death of excuses. It requires you to outgrow everything small about you. You don't get to be wealthy and keep your excuses. You don't get to be wealthy and stay comfortable. You don't get to be wealthy and still talk about what's hard. The hard is the way. The struggle is not a curse. It's the training ground. It's life asking you, how bad do you want it? Because here's the truth. Money doesn't care how you feel. Money doesn't care about your excuses, your fears, or your laziness. It only responds to value, and you become valuable by overcoming what most people run from. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. And if you want wealth, if you truly want it, you've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's how empires are built. One uncomfortable step at a time. When the world is still dark and the voices of doubt rise in the silence of morning, that is the hour of decision. Every time you move, in spite of fear, in spite of hesitation, you are establishing dominion over your own mind. You are developing what I have called definiteness of purpose. Each time you choose the uphill road, rather than the downhill drift of ease, you are building a character that no misfortune can break. You are laying the very scaffolding of an unshakable life. Let me tell you something that few men ever come to understand. True wealth is not simply earned, it is attracted. It does not chase the man who doubts himself. It flows only to the man who has become the kind of person who can possess and multiply it. You see, money is a servant, not a master, and it obeys the man who commands his mind as a general commands his troops. The riches of life are not granted to the man who pleads. They are earned by the man who builds, who sees in his imagination a world better than the one before him, and then sets about to create it, not with noise, but with definiteness, discipline, and daily action. You are not here to fit in. You are not here merely to survive. You, my friend, are here to rise, to master your limitations, to silence the noise of the world, and carve your purpose into reality with the tools of patience, persistence, and personal power. Let me remind you of a truth. Money follows value, and value is not forged in the limelight, but in the quiet hours, those invisible moments when no one applauds, no one encourages, and sometimes not even your own mind believes in the mission. But here is the secret. That mind of yours, it can be trained. It can be reconditioned. You can reprogram it to serve you rather than sabotage you. And once you do, once you assume the throne of your own thoughts, you become what I call the master of your thinking, the master of your emotions, the master of your habits, the master of your results, and eventually, the master of wealth. Let others wait. Let others doubt. Let them gossip, complain, and scroll their lives away. But not you. You are different. You move with clarity. You breathe with purpose. You act with power. Because you understand that success is not the product of chance. It is the scientific outcome of correct principles applied with relentless persistence. And wealth, my friend, it is not a coincidence. It is not reserved for the lucky. It is reserved for the worthy. And you become worthy through your discipline, desire, and definiteness of action. So now I say to you, rise and become the proof. Remember always, repetition is a sculptor of destiny. You do not become what you imagine once. You become what you visualize daily, repeatedly, obsessively, until your very biology adjusts to fit that inner image. That is not mysticism. That is science. It is the law of autosuggestion, the law of belief, the law of habit. So I urge you, return to this message. Listen again. Let it soak into your subconscious mind until your thoughts, your standards, and your surroundings all align with the vision of the man you have decided to become. And then you shall witness the riches, the success, and the greatness that have been waiting for you all along.